Vasyl Lomachenko says, who is Devin Haney? And says he did not vacate the WBC championship to give it to Devin Haney and become franchise champion. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. Cash App, we working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It definitely helps the channel. Now, Lomachenko, Loma. He did an interview on his official YouTube, and he says he didn't ask to become franchise champion. He didn't vacate his belt. The WBC misspoke. This is what he said directly. I've read an interview with the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, and he said we filed a request to be awarded that franchise championship champion title. I would like to make it clear that I did not file anything, and no one asked for it. I did not ask to be awarded with this title, and we did not write any letters. When I read that interview, I was very surprised. When I heard about it, I was like, as I thought, the president, Mauricio Suleiman, and the whole convention made that decision independently. They decided that I deserved it and said they would like to grant it to me. Thank you, of course. Thank you for the recognition. And that's how I perceived it when I read the interview. But when it turned out, that article said it was very differently, that I had asked for it, which is false, said Vasyl Lomachenko. Right? He went on to say, let's put it this way, shall we? Who is Devin Haney, and who is he even defeated? How has he gained the title? How? As we box for the title with the champions or the title with the official contender. He got the belt simply because I vacated it and it was granted to him. So shouting about achievements and you are so strong that you are avoided is not a question. As I said, I'm ready to fight with anyone at any time and anywhere. It doesn't matter. The question is business. It's a professional sport where not even sportsmen but promoters make money. So all the questions must go to them. I am ready, and it's not a problem. I can accept a challenge and go wherever they organize it at any time. So my thoughts, first of all, the WBC's decision to integrate this franchise champion has created a mess. You had WBC champions, like people who have WBC belts, Deontay Wilder and David Benavidez, respectfully say they don't understand it, nor do they wish to in the future-proof it, become WBC franchise champions. They said they're okay with the mandatories and there's already too many belts in boxing, and that's not what they represent. I'm just paraphrasing. Now you have Vasyl Lomachenko, you have Canelo, who were met with lots of criticism, understandably, for this franchise tag. And it made no sense when Canelo got it, but then you added it to Lomachenko, and this is a horrible decision. I don't know why the WBC had decided to do this, but it looks crazy, because when Canelo got it, okay, he's popular. He was mad at the WBC previously, so whatever. It didn't make sense then, but people just dealt with it. Then you gave one to Lomachenko. It's like, how do you win this? There's no black fighter in boxing with the WBC franchise tag, with this title. How do you get one? What do you have to do? So like, what are the requirements? How do you have this unwritten rule? Like anything else, like from clean boxing program and drug testing, is explicitly and professionally written out. So you know what you have to do, how long you have to file, an exemption or exception for, you can't fight your mandatory. Everything is explicitly spelled out for you. except for this franchise tag. And then even in the interviews where I've seen Vasyl Lomachenko asked about it, he doesn't really have a great explanation of what it is. And he literally, there's an interview out there floating around the net, and he says, "Oh, it is confusing. Yeah, I'm confused by it." You made it up, you and your committee. How are you confused by it? To make that even more messed up, you have Vasyl Lomachenko, who is denying what the WBC said. Lomachenko says, "Me and my team never asked for it," which makes this all the more confusing for the fan. So nobody's claiming it, yet Lomachenko is the franchise champion, and it has created a ripple in the pond effect where Devin Haney is a champion. So Devin's a champion. Loma saying he never requested it. Why didn't we get the fight then? You know, this looks disastrous, and I told you this was going to be a problem. Lomachenko won't claim it, and the WBC won't claim it. So who did this? So the franchise belt is like asexual and just created itself. You know, how come nobody's claiming it? And I have questions for Lomachenko as well. You look at the belt, and he's not claiming, you know, no one's taking credit for it, right? It's like being at school and then like a teacher, you're in a classroom of 30, a teacher finds a bag of weed, and she's like, "Whose weed? Whose is this? Who is it?" And, you know, no student wants to claim it. Nobody wants to do the Tekashi and snitch on the student. So the teacher's like, "Whose weed is this?" It's just on the ground, and, you know, in a baggie. You know, that's what's happening with this franchise title, looking like some Reggie. Nobody wants to claim it. But I do have questions for Lomachenko as well. If what he's saying is true and he didn't request it and it just magically came about, like him or his team, Top Rank, Bob Arum, nobody, somebody's not being clear. Somebody got to be lying. You know, WBC's blaming it on them, and, you know, Top Rank and Lomachenko now blaming it on WBC. So beyond that, you could still fight Devin Haney. So that should be your next fight. If you didn't claim it and you didn't want this and your team didn't want this, then that settles it. WBC franchise champion for the WBC champion, and then you consolidate it, and then it gets rid of that whole situation and scenario. But ultimately, I don't believe what Lomachenko is saying, because it doesn't make sense that Vasyl Lomachenko would claim that Lomachenko's side requested this after seeing Canelo. And Bob Arum's definitely spoken favorably about Canelo a lot lately. So he probably doesn't mind the franchise champion. So he probably thought it was a good idea, somebody. I don't understand why Suleiman would have a need or a benefit to make it up that it was requested by Lomachenko's people. So Lomachenko may not have specifically, like him, in petition and wrote the letter and signed it, but it sounds like somebody affiliated with his team, which, again, if you have a strong team, then you should be in the know of what's going on with your career as it pertains to you at this level. You know, you're a popular known fighter, so you should know what's going on. So somebody's not being transparent here. And I can't wait to see what the WBC president, Vasyl Lomachenko, what he says. But this whole thing has been utterly confusing, which is what I told you in the beginning, and no one wants to claim it. That's how you know, new media, we have done our job, and that's how you know it's confusing, because nobody wants to take credit for it. If it was something good that uplifted boxing, like somebody came up with a great idea to rid the sport of PED cheats, then everybody would want to claim it, like, hey, you know, I came up with this. Or if you invent the iPhone, hey, that's my patent, that's my invention. But when it's a bad invention, like the franchise champion, nobody seems to want to claim it. Nobody wants to take credit for that because it's not perceived well with the boxing community. So, like I said, this whole thing is a mess, whatever side you fall on. I think there still is a resolution, but it probably won't happen, because I do believe that this franchise champion didn't just appear out of nowhere, and it didn't just come in the way of Lomachenko by accident. It happened by design. So with that being said, they didn't want to fight Devin Haney. That's what that is. They would probably prefer to fight Comey versus Teofimo, keep it, you know, the winner of that, keep it all in-house, collect all the money, not fight a tall threat like Devin Haney, who's young, who happens to be with the rival promoter like Eddie Hearn and DAZN. It just makes all the sense in the world, you know, because if Lomachenko were to lose to Devin Haney, then Devin Haney goes back to DAZN, a bona fide star. So if you fight Richard Comey, you know, Richard Comey versus Teofimo Lopez winner, and then try to claim undisputed after that, it's an all top rank affair. So I don't believe what Lomachenko is saying. I think deeper down, somebody on his team has initiated this. And again, you can call my bluff, call New Media's bluff, fight Devin Haney next. You know, if I'm lying and this didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen, the way we've all seen it happen, then that's fine. Then he should fight Devin Haney, you know, point blank period. But if he doesn't, then to me, it's like knowing your next door neighbor is a serial killer and you don't notify nobody. Then you're basically an enabler and you're encouraging it. So same thing, you're encouraging them to keep doing it. You know, if you have the knowledge of something that's going on that's crazy and, you know, it's not mentioned, I'm not talking about no street stuff, I'm just talking about like every day, you know what I'm saying? Then it is what it is. You're kind of an enabler. So if Lomachenko continues to go on and not fight Devin Haney and goes on along with it, then that means you're kind of a party to it. You're okay with it. He's saying he'll fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. Tyson Fury said the same thing, but then he evaded the Wilder rematch and went to ESPN and started finding tune-ups and wrestling and calling out MMA fighters. So yeah, man, New Media, we're doing a great job, and the walls are closing in on all these situations. And it's funny because you see Canelo Alvarez is being criticized, like I told you, New Media, you know, for how the Kovalev fight played out and the stipulations. You see Lomachenko being criticized, both franchise champions being criticized, and now they're having to respond to the public. So it just goes to show you the power of New Media. I told you, we control the narrative. We get people talking, and it makes so much sense that, you know, people are like, hey, that is a good question. And now all of a sudden you see Eddie Reynoso, you know, replying to all the critics about the Kovalev fight and other fights, and Canelo always having an advantage. I did a video about it. Now you see Lomachenko replying to these situations. So we just got to keep the conversation moving. That's all I got to say. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.